Hey, what's going on, gamers? This is Dr. Redstone signing in to another episode on the channel. In today's episode, we're going to be going over the Salman raid results. Definitely a big fan of this raid boss. I don't know if we've ever had him before, but I definitely approve. I want to give a big shout out over on the Android Global to Loke City, as well as the Android European server for Puppet Masters. That's exactly where we ran. Speaking of the Android servers, I want to give a huge shout out to Kazi, as I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this before, especially coming in #1 spot and #2 spot over on the indie leaderboards on the Android Global and the Android European server. Speaking of those leaderboards, definitely a bunch of controversy between Android and iOS and a bunch of the pet abilities. I've got some emails out to Deca. Without further ado, let's get into those leaderboards. Now, jumping on into this one, we're going to start this Bad Mama Jamma on the Android server. Definitely a little bit of a difference, as we got Kazi coming at that #1 spot overall for all 4 servers. So let's go ahead and jump on into this one. We got Death Knights Demons. Big shout out to those guys. Definitely making a little bit of a comeback. I know Death Knights was a little bit, I believe it was an older alliance family, something like that, over on the Android Global servers. So definitely good to see those guys. We got 74 billion points. Empire of War with 58. The Unseen Force with 48. Right behind them we got the Legends. So that 3 and 4 was super close. Brothers of History coming at that #5 spot. As we jump on down here, you guys can see KOT, Knight of Trust. Big shout out to those guys with 39 billion points. We got Loke City. Big shout out to the family with 37 billion points, and we got 6 Guns right behind us, man. That was definitely a close one. Big shout out to those guys. We have the Terrible Bones at 9 and Supernatural coming in at that #10 spot. Now, jumping on over here to the top players, you guys know Kazi took that #1 spot. We're gonna be jumping on over to the Android European server to see exactly what happened over there. We got Mind coming in at that #2 spot right there with 2.7. We got Lunatic coming at that #3. Anichi coming at that #4, and Zill, big shout out to the homie, coming in at that #5 spot. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the Android European server. Jumping on over here into this one, we got Dark Dragons. Definitely want to give a big shout out to you. Definitely good to see people that you know up there on those top indie leaderboards. So we got Beast Mode Warriors coming at that #1 spot with 66 billion. Fear Family coming in at 59. BLP Family coming in at #3. Spirits of Vandal at #4, and the Terrible Bones rounding out the top 5. Unfortunately, we did not get into a top 10 guild on this one. You guys can see there we got 23, but big shout out to Puppet Masters. We got Petite France coming at that #6, Heroes and Legends at #7, LOD at 8, White Wolves yet again at the leaderboards. Freeze coming at that #10 spot. Man, we always got White Wolves up here on these leaderboards. Jumping on into the top 5 indie, we got Dark Dragon coming at that #1 spot. King's Kazi yet again coming in at that #2 spot over on the indie leaderboards. #1 on global, #2 on indie. Absolutely phenomenal. Big shout out to Sparkle Salk for coming in at that #3 spot. We got Kai representing King coming in at that #4 spot. We got Sarah representing Chaos Puppies, I believe. Pushing these leaderboards above and beyond over here on the iOS global servers, we got Touch Legacy coming at that #1 spot. 101 billion freaking points. 101. We got Royal Wolves coming at that #2 spot with 78 billion points. The MB Zoo coming at that #3. The Northern Beast at #4, and the Knight's Revenge rounding out the top 5. Absolutely phenomenal to see some of these points up here for these guys. Jumping on over here to #6, we got Strange Family, Testing TT at 7, Wind of Change at #8, ROM at 9, and Unlimited Aurora coming in at that #10 spot. Jumping on over here to these top 5 indie leaderboards, we got Killa coming in at #1 with 3.3 billion points. We got Wilson coming at that #2 spot. Big shout out to the homie. We got Fat Cobra Low coming at #3. Flawless at number 4, and Cody representing Creations. Big shout out to every single one of those guys over there for coming in at that number 5 spot. Jumping on over here to the iOS European servers, we got Barbarians has come out of their sleep for this raid with 86 billion points. That is absolutely phenomenal. Exalted Legacy was 72 billion points. Heavy Rain down there at 43. Two Less 2-0s coming in at that number 4, and Death Squad coming in at that number 5 spot, man. Big shout out to Barbarians, definitely putting up some big points right there. Jumping on over here, we have the Undertakers coming in at that number 6 spot. Black Wolves coming in at that number 7. Memory and Thought a little bit farther down than what we're normally seeing those guys at number 8. Phoenix Unleashed at number 9, and Dutch Helden 1 coming in at that number 10 spot. Jumping on over here to the top 5 raiders, we have Externady coming at that number 1 spot with 2.8 billion. We got Jason coming at that number 2. U-Seeker coming at that number 3 spot. Big Jeezer Seb coming at that number 4 spot. And the King of Kings, KOK, representing over here in that number 5 spot on the iOS European server. Now, there has definitely been some controversy yet again with Android and the iOS population, especially with this pet ability and everything like that. I have seen a number of videos, still waiting to hear back from Deca, but I have seen a number of videos, some people able to, get them to pop and stack and everything like that. I have yet to see one where the ability sticks, because a lot of people are spending a lot of gems. Now, we do know the stack Shatter Shield ability, so stacking a pet ability should be no surprise to you guys. If it does ever get stuck, where it definitely doesn't come out of those stacked abilities, that is definitely a problem. And if that's the case, then then Deca needs to go ahead and handle that one. Now, I have heard a lot where Android is unable to do it and iOS is able to do it, which I want to give a huge shout out to Kazi, especially if that is the case. If that is what is going on here, that is extra phenomenal for being able to take that number 1 spot when iOS, if they do have that exploit available to them and Android doesn't. Kazi was still able to come out on that number 1 spot overall for all 4 servers, so big shout out to you. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please make sure to smash that like button. Definitely helps me out more than you know. Questions, suggestions, you guys know what to do. Put those ones down below in the comments section. And as always, don't forget to subscribe before you go. This is Dr. Redstone signing out. Thanks, YouTube.